Boiling point content. That's what we're talking about today. What does it take to dial up your content, to have the right vocabulary in order to capture the hearts of those that you really want to serve, the people who already got the money, honey? So that's what we're talking about today. I'm going to make sure this is streaming over on Facebook. Tell me hi. Tell me where in the world you are joining from. I really appreciate you all watching the videos, giving me feedback, sending me private messages. It's been a very fun ride, and there's only going to be more videos. So if you want to know how do I move into this space where I stop, messing around with where everybody else is focused, where everybody else is marketing, where everybody else is selling, and how do I go after the top tier, most amazing clients who already have the money, already have experience, but they do need what I have. That's what we're talking about here. So let me find this on Facebook. Where the heck is it? It says it's supposed to be there. So there's a couple of things that has to be in boiling point content. And I want to give you a little context for this. So boiling point, this is the difference between having water on the stove and it's on low and it's, it's warm, it's hot. It's not boiling. You don't want to cook pasta in hot water. You want to cook pasta in boiling water. Most people's content, it's nice and it's good and it's polite and it's politically correct. And it doesn't really make anyone shift their thinking. It doesn't take anyone's breath away. It doesn't offend anyone. It doesn't confirm to anyone that, oh my gosh, you're the person I've been looking for. It doesn't make anyone send you a private message and say, wow, I've never heard anyone say that. You put it in a whole new light. It's like, we have to get to the boiling point. So how do we get to the boiling point? Just like when you got a pan of water on the stove, pot of water on the stove, how do you go from hot to boiling? You got to go from low to high. If you live where I live in the mountains, I live at high elevation. You have to turn that up and put a lid on it, right? And then wait for 22 minutes. What I want to teach you in today's session, here it is I want to teach you how do I get to boiling point? Because most of the content that I look at, like this morning, I woke up and I reviewed content for a client and I told her that I'm glad you posted, but that was nice content. That was nice and that was easy to post. Boiling point content is not easy to post, and I'm going to tell you why. If you post that, you're going to get a Jack Hole Jackie in your inbox. If you post it, that a client could fire you. You know that someone who's considering hiring you might not consider hiring you. This is the way I see it. I'd rather be so real and upfront in my content that I can offend people before they pay me so that they know I will not hold back once they pay me. Please don't pay me if you need someone to tickle your ears, if you want somebody to just be like, yeah, that's great. Good job. Good job on posting on social media. Things are so nuts right now that people think posting on social media is like a big accomplishment. Like, oh, I overcame all my fears. I posted on social media. Becky, I hate to break it to you, but you are way behind the 8 ball. Not only do you have to post on social media, not only do you have to email your list, not only do you have to do video, you have to show up in front of hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people. And you have to have the most dialed up boiling point content if you want people to actually pay you money. Not pay you compliments, not give you a like every now and then, not give you a pat on the back, not give you a lame comment, but if you actually want them to pay you money. So we on the same page here? This is boiling point content. So I already said it. Boiling point content is content that you actually hesitate before you hit the push, the publish button. Somebody asked me yesterday, when you're writing or when you're, coming up with your next, concept for a video or whatever, or you're writing an email, how do you know that you're at that boiling point? And I said immediately, because I feel like I'm going to throw up. Most people don't create content on social media and feel this like, oh my gosh, I could lose my lunch, right? Because it's very nice. It's very easy. So boiling point content is content that you hesitate before you hit publish. And it says the things that a lot of people think, but nobody says. I told a group of clients yesterday, what are you avoiding talking about and everybody else is avoiding talking about it? What are you sweeping under the rug and everybody else is sweeping under the rug? If you are doing what everybody else is doing, then why should I pay you? And also, You've got to know every time you do about what other people are doing and you talk about just about the same things other people are talking about, and you'll go as far as other people go, you are now, congratulations, one of many options. Do you want to be one of many options? Like, if there's this wonderful man, do you want to be one of many choices for him, or do you want to be the only choice? You want to be the only choice. You don't want to be one of many. So what else is boiling? I got some notes here. The other thing that boiling point content is this is the content that it gets talked about with like best friends, like almost like whispered, right? Like, oh my gosh, did you see that? Did you know that? Did you realize that? And what you do is you get a microphone, you get a megaphone, and you go, hey, let's talk about it. The thing I found really fascinating last week was how many people don't even want to use the word rich in their content. You talk about rich people? Oh my gosh, you blew the lid off. Like we don't know there's rich people in the world. Like we don't know there's poor people in the world. Like we don't know there's middle class people in the world. Like we don't know that there's some businesses that cater to people who have a smaller budget and people who have a bigger budget. I mean, are we for real right now? Like we're playing this game, we're all pretending that that's not real. Just even using that word sets people on fire, right? Either in a good way or a bad way. Just even saying, like, you know what, I've thought about it and I've done a lot of analyzing and I've looked at what I've done for the last 16 years. I went all the way back to the first year I was in business. And it just makes more sense for me to work with people who already have money and who are already established. And that seemed like something that could get me stoned in the city center, right? Let's flog her to death. It's crazy, but I mean, isn't that common sense? Now, I'm not saying that's what everyone wants to do. I'm just saying, hey, if you've been thinking about it, if you've been pondering it, if you've been, considering it, it works well. I've done it for 16 years. I went and analyzed the whole last year, and guess what? I came to the same freaking conclusion. So that's the long and short of it, right? Boiling point content is not nice. I'm not saying it's mean. It's just not nice. It's not easy to post. It is absolutely going to shift you, and then it's going to shift everyone who reads it. That's what boiling point content is. Boiling point content also cannot use the same words everybody else is using. I tell this to my clients all the time. Stop using industry lingo. And the reason I say this is because you sound like every Sally Sue. You sound like every Becky. And if you're like every Becky, then guess what people are going to do? When you're one of many, what is the logical thing people will do? They're going to price shop you. And one of my favorite sayings from Seth Godin is he says, that is a race to the bottom. Who could be cheaper? Who could be cheaper? Who could be cheaper? Who could be cheaper? Have you all seen that hilarious video? I don't know what it was. This lady, she told her story of selling. No, she wasn't selling, giving her bed away on Marketplace. And now she's turned it into like a musical and a whole like one woman show. So I think it perfectly illustrates what it looks like when you decide to talk like everyone else, walk like everyone else. And then now you have to be the lowest price and include the most things. And your sales page has to have the most bonuses. And you've got to hold people's hand the most. And you got to be the most available. So this lady tells a story about how she was giving away a bed frame and she posted it on Facebook Marketplace. And immediately a lady responds and says, hey, listen, is there any way that you would discount it? And she says, it's free. And the lady goes, yeah, well, that's the thing. This is how Marketplace works. You have to be willing to negotiate. And she goes, you know what, just for you. Yes, I'll take a percentage off. This kind of Looney Tune thinking is exactly what happens when everybody is fighting over the tiniest slice of pie, the tiniest wallets, the tiniest income levels, the tiniest amounts of confidence. When we go after people who are in this section, we end up looking back and going, what was I doing? What on earth was I doing? So boiling point content is shifting this so that people don't mistake you. There's not like an identity. You don't get like a case of mistaken identity. Nobody mistakes you with all the Sally Sues. You are literally one choice. There's only one choice. It's me. right? There's only one choice, it's you. So like I said in the beginning, I hate to break it to you, but posting on social media is not an accomplishment anymore. Like if you're like, oh my gosh, I posted 2 times this week, like that's a lot more than I can usually do because I just can't stomach it. I'm going to tell you something. If you don't post on social media, if you don't email your list, if you don't go live, if you don't get your ass in gear, you're not going to get clients. It's not an accomplishment. There's no gold stars getting sent out for that. Okay. That is basic running a business, especially if you run a business online. Now, if you want to go from posting like, oh, good job, me, I checked it. I got to check something off my to-do list. I love it. I love a to-do list. By the way, for those of you who do to-do lists, do you do handwritten ones? I don't know, there's just something better about like crossing that thing off and checking. Sometimes I cross and check, because it just feels better. So here's why most people post, but it doesn't do anything. And I want you to know something. I want you to get this loud and clear. It's easy to know when you've went from hot water to boiling water, when you've hit the boiling, when you've dialed it up to 10, is you get clear signals. You get clear feedback. When a guy likes a woman and she walks by and there was a matchmaker. Do you guys remember the Millionaire Matchmaker? She used to have the show, what was it on Bravo? I don't know if any of you saw that. And she used to say, for men, as soon as they see a woman, the peeper does the picking. Like he immediately is attracted to her and he just instinctively, chases her down, woos her, asks for her number, buys her a drink, whatever he does, or he immediately is like, nope, not the one. The second a man sees a woman, he knows if woo, 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 his eyes pop out of his head and he goes like it does in the cartoons or not. Same thing is true with content. Your ideal client, the one you want to work with, the one you create this offer for, the reason you get out of bed every day, the one you keep creating graphics and websites and podcasts and everything under the sun for, that person, as soon as they read your words, either they're like, woo, 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 yes, this is ding, 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 this is the one, or let me see if I can find a funny video. Oh, cat videos. Yes, that's what I came on here to do. It's that fast. So what do we have to do in order to get the eyes popping out of the head? Well, we got to stop watering everything down. I can guarantee you, if you're working with someone right now and you have access to somebody and you have access to their library and you have access to their swipe files and to their cheat sheets and all of that, what I want you to know is do not use any of it. Hear me loud and clear. Do not ever use it. If you are copying and pasting and using someone's formula and they coach 200, 500, 10,000, 100,000 people, guess what? You're one of many, right? Because nobody wants to go past the edge. Nobody wants to be like, what's my personality? How do I say it? What do I want? Where am I willing to go? So you cannot do a copy and paste. If you have access to that, it's all good and well. Don't use it for any reason, unless you want to completely sink your business. Other content problems, politically correct. I get it, right? Everyone's afraid of getting canceled and getting boycotted and getting on some hit list, right? Listen, I live for that shit. You're going to end up on a hit list no matter what, okay? If you have something to say, if you have a clear perspective, if you have a point of view, if you have any experience, if you have a personality, you're going to end up on somebody's hit list. Here's the difference is if you have this boiling point content, you're also going to make a lot of money. Might as well, right? So, everyone is really, really interested in being affordable and accessible and relatable and what are all the bulls? You know what I'm talking about. And almost every piece of content I read has feminine energy and no hustle and flow and aligned. I swear to God, I'm going to throw up in my mouth if I see these words one more time. Are these the only 10 words that are available in the English language? I mean, find something new. I have to tell you. So a friend, sent me a message. I was getting ready for this live. And she says, OMG, I'm dying. You cannot serve the already wealthy and be a spineless, limp-wristed twat waffle. Those are my words, right? You are not going to get those out of Big Shot Brenda, swipe file. Big Shot Brenda isn't going to tell you to use those words. But if you have a mind of your own, and if you really want to make money, you're going to go find your own vocabulary words. You cannot be politically correct. People get offended if you post a picture of a kitten, right? Like, people live and breathe to be offended right now. Go ahead and offend them. At least you're going to make money. Okay, and let's go to this one, because this is super, super important. I said in my post today, most people are catering to 99% of the population, and that's why they cannot sell to the 1%. I actually just got off a call with someone, and she said this so perfectly. She said, I've spent about, I think it was 18 months, if it was a year, 18 months, but I want to say it's 18 months. And she said, she worked with someone and they told her, you need to have, this offer, but just in case nobody wants your big, expensive offer. Oh, I just noticed there's comments. People love and right? Hi, ladies. Thanks for joining me. I just realized that you were here. She said, she worked with a coach who said, yep, you can have this big high ticket offer, but you have to know you got to create other things for people. And you know what? I've been there. In fact, I spent the entire last year doing that because I was literally willing to do anything, right? I experimented on everything you can imagine. So you don't need to. I already did. I'm going to tell you the findings. I literally created everything under the sun. And when I was listening to this lady, she said, so we created something for the people who didn't want to do that. And then the people who couldn't do that, we created something for them until we were all the way down to something that is, let me pay you $7 a month so I can help you with your business, right? That's what ends up happening when you could do this. And you know what? None of it worked. The more you try to accommodate everyone, the less sales you make. I can guarantee you. Like, I could just turn my entire world over to this, and I could do like study after study, data after data, and I would tell you it's 100% the truth. The more you try to cater to everyone, the less sales you will make, period. This is what I want everyone to do, is I want you to decide who you actually are, what you want to do every day, who you want to work with every day. And if you sold that offer to those people 1,000 times, would you be excited or resentful? Would you love your life or would you hate it? And when you decide who you are, what you want to sell, who you want to work with, what you want to do every single day, day in and day out, I want you to ask yourself, do you have the courage to plant your feet and be like, that's all I'm going to do? Not doing this and that and the other. I don't really want to do those things. Just plant your feet and do it. Can you light your hair on fire? Can you open your mouth and actually tell the truth? Can you be so dialed in and dialed up that people are like, whoa, 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 right? Because they pick immediately. And I told you, you will get immediate feedback. You will get hit with 20, 50, 100 friend requests overnight. You will get hundreds of new followers. You will literally get people. This lady, I love her. I have to tell you this because I love this type of personality. Okay, I'm not going to say her name, but she's my new favorite person. She sends me a voice note on April 17th. And remember, I told you guys I got like 204 messages, like boom. And so I was catching up on all of them. So she sent me a message. Let's see here. She sent me 1, 2, 3, 4 messages on April 17th. And then she comes at 10:07 p.m. on April 17th and says, shall I look for someone else who might want to take my money to help me understand how to get the top 1%? And I was like, I fucking love this lady, right? This is my kind of spicy lady. So I come in on April 18th and I said, hey, I'm catching up. I got, over 200 messages. Let's connect next week. And we connected. And oh my God, it's like I found my twin sister, right? She's a hot mamacita like me. The thing with cayenne, since we're talking about boiling water, a little cayenne goes a long way. And, I should probably use myself sparingly on the internet, but I just don't want to anymore. People can either sneeze or they can fire up their life. They can set themselves on fire and they can go do something. So is this all making sense with the boiling point content? Are you all aware of like when you play it safe, I'll tell you the other thing is a lot of people, they have content and it would have been dynamite. It could have led to them getting a client if they would have went about 2 steps further. They got to the edge and they stopped. And they stop where everybody else stops. So what does it look like when you go beyond? What are you talking about that no one wants to talk about? What does that sound like? What does that look like? Tell me. Cayenne tea keeps the pest in the garden away. You know what? That is so true. We use a ton of cayenne. Derek buys these, Costco-sized cayennes. What are you going to talk about that everyone else is scared to talk about? I'm going to tell you what I realized is that if you stop short and if you aren't fully self-expressed and you don't go where people aren't willing to go, not only does it impact your income, but it impacts you as a person. I find that people look at me and think that if they are full tilt and if they're wholehearted and if they're on 10 all the time, that they're going to burn out, like they're somehow going to fizzle out and that will be the most draining thing in their life. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't burn out. I don't fizzle out. I don't get drained. You know why? Because I'm wholehearted. The most draining thing you can do is run at about 50%. That will drain the hell out of you. Okay, so what boiling point content does and what it does differently than the nice, easy, good content, right? There's so much good content on the internet today. It's awesome. People are, they're posting, good for them. They're posting good content, nice content, awesome. And you know what? It's actually good for you and me because you need contrast in the world, right? So what are we going to do differently? And how does boiling point content hit differently? It's going to filter people for you. I don't know if you all remember this, but like back in 2018, I could do a color block post in a group of 1 million, I don't know if you all were like women helping women. I could do a color block post and I'd be like, raise your hand if you yada, yada. And I'd have like hundreds of people comment underneath. I remember this one day, like 600 people commented. I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? Anyone remember those days? You could just generate leads like crazy. And that was the game, right? And then I'd be like messaging 600 people on Facebook's like, I could post and I could get leads. And then I'd have to go over to Messenger and I'd have to have a conversation. I'd have to qualify them. And I'm doing this with hundreds of people at a time. Anyone ever done that? When your content goes from like, raise your hand if you want to, do whatever, to your content being on 10 and being boiling point content, it filters people and qualifies people for you. Now, I loved the idea that I could generate 500,000 leads a week. That was awesome. It's fun. Honestly, if you've never done it, go do it. It feels good. But what I realize now is that I could actually, kind of streamline the process if I dial my content up and I go put it in a group of 50,000, 100,000, 1 million female entrepreneurs, and I can let the content filter and sort for them. So then I end up with, we'll say 204 people in my inbox. And those are people who are the most qualified, the most ready to take me on, to buy from me, to go to the next step. That makes sense? So I've done all the above. What I can tell you is if your content is on point, it will filter and qualify people for you. I'm thinking out loud here. I help leaders be more influential, and I was somewhat resistant to speaking about how sharing influences your power, and I feel like I need to do more of that. Yes, Renee. Okay, so let's just talk about it. You want to talk about rich? You want to talk about power? You want to talk about influence? Nobody wants to talk about those words. Those are all bad. Those are so bad. Power. We're so afraid of power. We're afraid to be powerful. And we're afraid to be influential. Does that mean that you're like, you're manipulating people and you're like steamrolling people and you're taking advantage of people and you're making people do what they don't want to do? I mean, I think we're all adults here, right? I've literally never put anyone in a headlock and beat the shit out of them until they gave me their credit card. I've never done it. But when you talk about rich, powerful, and influential, that's exactly what comes to people's minds. Because we're so freaking delicate, Like we can't even talk about the things that actually are. Go, Renee, talk about it. Okay. This is kind of repeating what I just said, but because it filters people and because it qualifies people, when you actually talk about the thing, it shortens the sales process, right? It's a completely different. So how many of you know, kind of have an idea of your sales process? Like I remember one time Derek and I were kind of like, from the point that somebody watches one of my videos or reads one of my posts or raises their hand on a lead gen post, this is kind of what the process looks like. We have went into the DMs and literally been able to see like, this is the sales process. It's very, very short, incredibly short. When people watch a video of mine, when they read my content, and then they see, like I throw out an offer like I am right now, you have till April 30th to buy it, by the way, so go buy it. It's a very short sales process. People generally buy from me, no matter if they've never heard from me before, don't even know I existed, or they've watched me for years. Basically, this is a 3 to 7 day window. That's why when I first started, I used to promote every single offer for 3 weeks because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know any of this. So I needed to talk about it for 3 weeks in order to get 7, 12, 20 clients. I don't need to do that anymore because my content's on 10. So now my sales process, I can take people from 0 to buy from me in 3 to 7 days. And if they don't want to buy within the 7 days, let's be honest, they're not going to buy from me in 7 days. They're not going to buy from me in 14 days. They're not going to buy from me in 47 days. They're not going to buy from me in 62 days. They're not going to buy from me in 365 days, right? So it just saves everyone the hassle. I am willing and able and aware of what it looks like to go on 10. So I can just go get my clients, close the door, go work with them and move on with my life, have a cup of tea, sell my house, move to Florida, that kind of stuff, right? So how long do you want your sales process to be? How long do you want to nurture friends, followers, viewers, people who comment? How long do you want to nurture leads? Tell me, how long do you want to nurture leads? How long do you want to shoot the shit in the messenger before they hand over their credit card? It doesn't, you get to decide when that is. The last thing that I want to say why I recommend boiling point content is there is this exchange that happens before the money exchanges. And I just want you to be clear. There are things that have to be exchanged before the money's exchanged. And I think the most important thing that's exchanged before the money exchanges with this type of content is respect. This recognition of you get me, I get you, we're simpatico, we could do good things together. You need your people to come to that conclusion on their own. If I have to convince somebody of that, I'm going to have to like throw them on my shoulder and hike them up a hill, and I'm going to have to burp them, and I'm going to like, it's going to be the hardest client, the hardest work I've ever done. That just needs to happen. And that can happen through the content. A week would be ideal. Yes. Hi, Mr. Francis. So this is what boiling point. So you all get this. Like this isn't a formula. This isn't a strategy. This isn't a 3 points, and then you're going to do this for every piece of content. I mean, that's for first graders. You're not in first grade. You're not working with people who are in first grade. You're experienced. You're a badass. You want to work with people who are experienced, established, and already have money. So you don't get that, right? I'm not going to give you this steps 1 through 3, and this is the formula. What I'm asking you to do is go dig deep and go get real with yourself so then you can get real with your audience. That's different, right? This is what I want you to know. When I work with clients, I don't want them to hire me and go, oh, yes, you're my leader. I'll just do whatever you say, whatever you think works. I'll just do that. I don't want to work with those people. I want to work with people who know how to lead themselves. And I just come along and I slap them on the butt and I go, that's it, Becky. Keep dialing it up. There you go. Felt that one. This, This is not the beginner circle, okay? So if you're looking for me to spell it out for you and give you the formula and give you my swipe file, it's not going to happen. But this is what I'm going to give you. If when you write a post, you feel like you might throw up, if you feel like you just freed yourself of some burden, if you feel like there's a good chance somebody's going to get offended, if you feel like someone's going to block you, if you feel like someone could disapprove, if you feel like your grandma's going to call your mom and your cousin and your sister and your best friend, you're spot on. And what this type of content does, not only does it get you a ton of clients, it absolutely kills your addiction to approval. And right, People go, oh, yes, you're so good and nice. And it stops you from needing to be liked by people who don't even matter. God, I went through this. Like, I have a PhD in people pleasing. I don't have a degree in anything else, but I got a PhD in that shit. Nothing holds us hostage. Nothing holds us in a holding pattern. Nothing holds us back like the need to be liked and accepted by others. If you write something and you go, there's a big chance somebody's going to misunderstand me, then you better hit post. There were so many people who misunderstood what I said. I'm like, I said that? Show me the words. Do it, like, circle, find my post and circle it for me. People are going to misunderstand you. They already do, by the way. At least get paid. At least get paid. Okay, so final words. If you want to know what is really attractive right now, is people who've got guts. You got to have guts right now. And if you're coming off like somebody who doesn't really know yourself, doesn't really like yourself, doesn't really believe in yourself, the rich aren't going to hire you. You have to have tremendous confidence to stand next to someone who's really successful, really rich, and got a lot of things together. They don't have everything together. That's why they're buying your stuff, but they have a lot together. If when you're standing next to that person, if you start freaking out, if you start going into comparison, if you start thinking of all your flaws instead of thinking of all your strengths, you got to work on that. Because that is the most attractive thing right now. When somebody can just be like completely devoid of self-consciousness. They're incredibly sure of who they are. This is where I am, and this is where I'd encourage you to be. Plant your feet and decide who you want to work with. Decide what you're going to charge for it. And do not back down. Do not backtrack. Do not discount. Do not create something else. Go over here. Just plant your feet and be rock solid. Be so dependable in that way. So I told you last week, so many of you reached out. I decided to throw something together of, and that's just the freaking truth, right? This is similar and yet different than what I used to do. So a couple years ago, I had one-on-one offer, because to tell you the truth, I don't like to work one-on-one too much, because as a 5-1, if you guys know human design, like, people get really caught up in the projection field, right? So I'm very picky about one-on-one work. I put together where it's one-on-one work for 5 weeks, and I kick you out of the nest, because God knows you don't need to, have me rock you for the next 6 months or 12 months or God knows how long. It's 5 weeks together. We look at your offers. We look at your social media. We look at your human design, life path, all that stuff. I look at the words you're using. I look at the posts. I look at everything, and we tweak it so that it speaks exactly to the people who are established, have the money, and it allows your experience to shine. Because if you do not adjust this, and you have experience and you're good at what you do, if you don't adjust it, you're going to end up looking like and sounding like every amateur Amy, even though you're nothing like them. So if you want to hear more about that, send me a private message. Message me, Legendary Leader. I'll give you the details. It's only open to April 30th. I got other things to do too. I want people who are in to get in. Let's get to work. Let's elevate everything. Let's get it spot on. Let's get every single piece of content you do to boiling point content. Let's shorten the sales process, and let's let everyone else just kind of fly off, right? Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. Heck yes, my first high-level person was like a huge wake-up call for me. Yes, and recognize your own triggers. Yes, and this is how you get better. If you want to be the best, you got to hang out with the best. If you want to feel good about yourself, you want to stroke your ego, hang around average people and below average people. It's just a fact. I'd rather be better because I hung out with the best. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I shall see you soon. Bye.